found now here.
Yeah.
It's already found the lady.
Oh, you found it? Yeah, thank you. And the back. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, good morning. Please take your seats as we begin the closing day of what has been a fantastic European Vocational Skills Week. I hope you enjoyed last night's dinner and an opportunity to see some very talented performances from young learners here in Austria, and also to hear and celebrate some of the nominees. And later today, we'll find out what we've all been waiting to know, who has won on the different awards. I have two things that I would like to say just about last night. And the first thing is, I would like to reunite someone with the bag they left on the bus last night. If you recognize this bag, if you know whose owner it is, it will be waiting for you at the registration desk outside. It's a sad bag, it needs its owner. And last night, I hope you agree, was a fantastic evening of fun, of entertainment, of celebration. And an event like that doesn't just happen overnight. That took weeks and months of really hard work. And there's one person who we would really like to publicly thank for all the work that's done behind the scenes. The emails, the phone calls, the thinking, the planning. And so that one person who we particularly want to recognize is Anne van den Broek. Where are you, Anne? Stand up, please, Anne. We put the limelight on some of the people who make the magic happen. So now I would like to pass the floor to the European Commissioner, Commissioner Thyssen, who's going to give us some messages about the week and where it's going to go next. Commissioner Thyssen, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I have seen many of you during the awards nominee celebration yesterday evening. I'm very happy to welcome you again today for this closing event, and welcome to those following through the web streaming also, of course. I'd like to start by thanking the Austrian government, in particular the Directors General, Matthias Schirf and Martin Netzer, who are here today standing for their ministers, Dr. Margareta Schrambruck and Dr. Heinz Fassmann. The Austrian government has done an excellent job in co-organizing this third European Skills Week. You have also been an inspiration. We all know that we can learn a lot from Austria when it comes to your vocational education and training policy and practice. And I would like to thank the Austrian Chamber of Commerce and its Vice-President, Martha Schultz. You have been a fantastic host and partner in putting together this event. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to be with you here today. In 3 years, the European VET Skills Week has become a household name in the world of vocational education and training. The Skills Week has become the high point on the European VET calendar. It is a high point on the Commission's calendar, and certainly it is a high point on my personal calendar. Because in all my years as Commissioner, what I found most inspiring is meeting you. This year, I opened our VET Skills Week in my native Flanders, that's a region of Belgium, at 2 VET schools. They could not be more different. One school dedicated to the art of grand cuisine, to patisserie, chocolates, and fine dining, and the other to scientific discovery, to chemistry, industry, and technology. But in both schools, the same ambition, the same drive, the same spirit of learning, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And here in Austria today, I find the same spirit. And something else in addition, a spirit of partnership. A spirit of partnership that is a European hallmark. Partnership between governments, between politicians, business and education providers, and social partners. A partnership that the European Commission is proud to be a member of. A partnership with a shared purpose, to make sure students, girls and boys, have the skills they need to succeed as a worker or as an entrepreneur, and that companies have skilled workers they need to compete in a changing world in a global market, and above all, to make sure that everyone knows VET is a first choice. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3rd VET Skills Week so far is a great success. We have worked with 26 ambassadors and had 20 nominees for VET Awards. We have now 1,512 events in 47 countries, so we also go out Europe. We have now reached millions of people still today through social and other media. Everything we have worked towards this year, everything we have done this week comes together here today. I hope you are looking forward as much as I am to this impressive program. We'll see what happened during the VET Skills Week all over Europe. VET musicians will play and sing for us. We will hear from top-line speakers representing all our partners, and we will be inspired by our VET ambassadors. And I am sure we're all eagerly anticipating the awards ceremony. We already know that VET is a first choice. We will find out soon who is the first choice of the public and our expert panel in each of the award categories. I met the nominees yesterday, and I can tell you that's one difficult decision who should get the award. It remains for me to hand you over to our VET experts and to wish you a good morning, and I will see you later again. Thank you so far.
Thank you, Commissioner. It is truly impressive when you look at the numbers of where the VET Skills Week has now reached after 3 years. So now let me turn to our host organisation and the representing the place where we are and also connected to the Austrian Presidency, Martha Schultz, the Vice-President of the WKÖ office here in Vienna. You have hosted us this week. We've been able to use your facilities. Thank you very much. Please, take the floor.
So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the closing conference of the European Vocational Skills Week 2018 in Vienna. I'm glad to be here today with you on this special day. Commissioner, you have introduced the European Vocational Skills Week in 2016 and you have been a promoter ever since. Thank you so much. It helped making vocational education and training more attractive and more visible. I'm happy that so many of you are here today. This is a very good sign and shows the rising importance of vocational education and training. This week's meetings were very successful and promising. It is not without any reason that vocational education and training is on today's agenda. The issue of skills shortages was identified as the second most significant challenge for businesses in 2018 edition of the Eurochamber Economic Survey. Austria is not exception in this respect. 75 of the Austrian companies are suffering from a tremendous skills shortage. At the same time, a rather high youth unemployment rate is one of the key challenges in recent years since our financial and economic crisis in Europe. It is known that there is a clear interlinking between low youth unemployment rate and the well-developed dual vocational training system in close cooperation with the private sector. I'm convinced that European companies and European young people benefit tremendously from apprenticeship training. I can confirm this out of my own experience. In my business in Austria, we currently have almost 40 apprenticeships in 13 different skills. As we are convinced in the investment of our future skilled workforce, we invest a lot in these youngsters. They learn by doing in the company and in the vocational school, which is a perfect training partner. For employer or company to host an apprenticeship, it is crucial to have a clear framework conditions, lean administration, a possible involvement in the design of job profiles and curricula, and motivated and well-educated applicants who are attracted by the apprenticeship program. Thus, Chamber and or other intermediaries play an important role in encouraging SMEs to host apprentices and in providing suitable and efficient services for SMEs, like the management of the apprenticeship system. The Austrian Federal Economic Chamber is responsible for the administration of apprenticeship training and is acting on a legal basis on delegating authority from the Ministry of Digital and Economic Affairs. The Austrian Chamber is offering supporting services for training companies, and it is a strong player in developing new job profiles. This close cooperation of economy and education is one of the most important success factors to boost the attractiveness of VET. Therefore, we are proud to host such an impressive European event today. We welcome all participants from the European and national level, from the private sector, from the education world, and of course, all youngsters. I thank you all for putting VET in the spotlight it deserves. Thank you so much.
So we've had a chance to spend a little bit of time here together in Vienna. We've had a chance to network and find out more of what we're doing in our own places in different European countries. But what I'd like to do now is introduce to you a video highlighting some of the activities that have been going on in the framework of this week here and in other countries. Let's see the video highlights of this year's week.
Wij willen iets laten weten aan de mensen wat jullie al langer weten. Aan heel Vlaanderen, aan heel Europa en vooral aan alle leerlingen en ouders die nu stilaan aan een beroepskeuze moeten denken. Namelijk dat technisch en beroepsonderwijs zowel voor jongens als voor meisjes een volwaardige keuze is. Het is echt niet een plan B, het is een eerste optie en niet iets dat je doet wanneer iets anders tegenvalt.
At the Day of Apprenticeship Training in Austria,
we are dealing with lots of apprentices, young people who learn both at colleges and at the workplace, which is very important for our education system.
Ich bin der Tag der Lehre, weil man muss die neue Generation was bringen, was sie machen sollen, was sie studieren möchten oder machen wollen in seinem Leben.
Gerekli iş disiplinine sahip ve işin bilincinde nereye gitmek istediklerini bilen gençlerle birlikte çalıştıktan sonra çok daha güçlü olduğumuza inanıyoruz.
Kızımın açacağı ev yemekleri projesini destek vermek amacıyla bu amaçla araştırmalara başladım ve İSME'yi o zaman gördüm. Yani gittiğime ve İSME'yi tanıdığıma memnun oldum. Güzel bir yer.
What we're trying to do is to pass the message to everybody that for your child to go to vocational training is good. And it also means that you will be well qualified to engage new jobs in the future. And it's a perfectly honorable study. We'd like to get rid of this idea that you must go to university in order to be taken seriously later in your profession.
Πιστεύω ότι το να ερχόμαστε σε τέτοια είδους event είναι πολύ σημαντικό, διότι μέσα από τις δουλειές των άλλων μπορούμε και εμείς να καταφέρουμε το ίδιο, έχοντας κάνει τα ίδια πράγματα με αυτούς.
A legnagyobb előnye, hogy az Európai Szakképzési Héten részt veszünk, az az, hogy nagyobb nyilvánosságot kap a rendezvény, és úgy gondolom, hogy a rendezvény sikere átragadhat más rendezvényekre is. Kedves, mosolygós, boldog arcok mennek el innen, úgyhogy mindenképpen más szemlélettel mennek el a szakképzési iskolákból, illetve a képzőhelyekről, a cégektől.
Vandaag loopt daar misschien een Steve Jobs rond, of een Elon Musk, of een Bill Gates. Dat zijn allemaal Amerikanen. Maar ik zou zeggen, laten we ons er samen voor zorgen dat de volgende grote uitvinder uit Europa komt.
The future of the European Vocational Skills Week will certainly be that there will be more of them. The third one will not be the last one. We will definitely need a fourth one and a fifth one and probably a sixth one. So that I think is what the future brings.
Watching that video, I see a strong contrast to many of the conferences I go to in terms of the energy and the enthusiasm and the dynamism of people there finding interesting ways for their future. So clearly this week is plugging into communities that will be the next generation and will inspire the next set of workers. Let me now turn to the fact that we are in Austria and they hold the presidency of the European Union. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Martin Netzler, the Secretary General for the Federal Ministry of Education, Science and Research, as our host organization and with such a strong background in VET. Please, take the floor.
Thank you. Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I'm delighted to address today's conference, the grand finale of the third European Vocational Skills Week. This week was an important week for all of us, experts and policymakers alike, but also for our VET learners who got to present themselves and their skills throughout the week. Therefore, we benefit from the effort and investment of the European Commission. It is undertaken each year to raise public awareness for the excellence and the wide variety of VET provision and to encourage more young people to actively participate and to learn what VET in Europe has to offer. The Austrian Presidency is honored to be hosting this week here in Vienna for the first time in a European member state and to become contributing to this important and joint effort of making VET a first choice throughout Europe. VET is already first choice in Austria. Around 72% of an age cohort choose an educational career in vocational education and training. It is exactly the combination of a dual system with a full-time school-based system and a variety of opportunities for lifelong learning that makes VET in Austria so attractive, not just for current and prospective students, but also for all relevant stakeholders. Yet some challenges remain. First, the number of Austrian VET students and apprentices who benefit from international mobility periods is still lagging behind the number of mobile students in higher education. Learners from all sectors of education must be given the opportunity to benefit from the positive impact that learning mobility exerts on their identity, their language competence, their employability. Another European priority that is seen as important in the Austrian context is the strategic strengthening of the role of VET in supporting innovation and research, and to foster excellence in VET through systematic cooperation, for example, between VET institutions, higher education and research institutions, and the private sector. A European initiative on platforms of centers of vocational excellence, which aims at establishing the structural parameters for such a cooperation, appears promising, and the further discussion on this topic will be followed with great interest. A key dossier under the Austrian Presidency is the successor program to Erasmus+. The EU education program is pivotal for the strategic cooperation and education, as well as for student and teacher mobility and cooperation projects. As Presidency, we are optimistic to reach a joint position on all main points of the proposed legal text for the future Erasmus+ program. The suggested doubling of the EU funds for Erasmus+ could help us to achieve the strategic targets of mobility and excellence. It would support education reforms, and it would take us one step closer to a European education area. It would send a strong signal throughout Europe. I believe that we can all be proud of our achievements during this week, and it is safe to say that once again the European Vocational Skills Week was a great success. I want to express my gratitude to the European Commission for organizing the week and for choosing Vienna as the location. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Commissioner Marianne Thyssen for making the objective of making VET a first choice of our learners. My congratulations go to all award winners who will be honored today and who are testimonials for the fact that VET works. It is up to us to make sure that VET will continue to work in the decades ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to hear from another ministry here in Austria, Mr. Matthias Schirf, the Director General for the Federal Ministry for Digital and Economic Affairs in Austria. The floor is yours.
Good morning. It is with great pleasure that I convey warm greetings from Margarete Schramböck, Minister for Digital and Economic Affairs, and I have the privilege to be on behalf of her here with you. We have a very fascinating skills week behind us, and we had a lot of very interesting discussions, and we saw the high level of vocational training of apprenticeship in Austria and in Europe. We all agreed that at the beginning of the 21st century, the world is changing dynamically, having a great impact on the working world and making new demands on the occupational skills of qualified employees. Increasing skills requirements and ever-changing job profiles at all qualification levels call on VET systems to be responsive to rapid changes linked to our complex knowledge based economy while maintaining their necessary stability and predictability. Consequently, a recent survey shows that companies in Austria are confronted with a skilled labor shortage. Nearly all of the 4,500 companies surveyed are affected by the skilled labor shortage, and therefore apprenticeship, diplomas, other qualifications in highest demand. What we are facing today is a challenging environment for skills development, increasing demand for qualified workers on the one hand, and rapidly evolving and changing competencies due to digitization, Industry 4.0, but also globalization, on the other hand, are challenges that we have to tackle. And in the context of high youth unemployment, economic crisis, and rapid changes, it would appear that transversal skills, particularly digitalization and entrepreneurships, are essential if young people are to become active, creative, and entrepreneurial citizens. That's why it's important further work on supporting schemes for the development of cross-sectoral skills like entrepreneurships and digitalization, but also for an intensified need of internal and external mobility of learners, trainers, and qualified workers in the area of VET is a clear task of the following years. In particular, our instruments and activities, which were well established in the recent decade in Europe, should be evaluated and modernized now. To follow this, the involvement of companies is an important topic, in particular for the responsible Ministry for Company-Based Training in Austria. First, the involvement of social partners, in particular the private sector, in the ongoing discussion is important. To evaluate and modernize our instruments and activities on the European level, the view of users and directly affected stakeholders will give us a more in-depth approach how usability and applicability of these instruments could be evolved. Second, we need the experiences of companies itself to provide a reliable picture of the future environment of skills and qualifications. Therefore, we should work on establishing and steering a process where a fruitful exchange of experiences between educational institutions, social partners, policymakers, and companies can proceed. Third, highlighting the idea to establish a network of VET centers of excellence, as proposed by the European Commission, seems to be promising. By involving all different models of public-private partnership in the area of VET excellence, we could enrich the outcomes of this specific measure. Fourth, increasing mobility is a topic of high interest, in addition to all efforts already made and planned for the coming years. I propose to think about mechanisms and tools to improve and facilitate both the mobility of qualified workers and the recruitment process of companies in an international context. In this context, transparency and validated comparability of qualifications play an important role. And now to the activities in Austria. In Austria, we follow the path to improve apprenticeship future, fit consequently with a close interlinkage between VET and the economy, like the following. Digitalization plays an important role in two ways. On the one hand, the use of modern technologies in everyday training is now an indispensable qualification criterion for any vocational training. Therefore, we currently develop a new application to support the apprenticeship. This multi-user app aims to foster the interaction between trainer and trainee, increase the quality of VET, and to implement digitalization as an educational content. On the other hand, the growth in apprentices in the computer science, IT, communications technology field shows that digitization is also a job engine. Between 2013 and 2017, the number of apprentices in Austria more than doubled. Here, we already implemented new job profiles like a commerce trader or coding. However, in the next years, we plan to come up with a certain number of new or modernized job profiles focusing the digitalization. That's why we are planning also to streamline the process of development of new apprenticeship profiles or modernizing of existing ones. One main target is to integrate the companies in defining future needs and elaboration of new profiles very closely. The development of a new apprenticeship profile from the definition of the need until the regulatory implementation must not exceed 1 year. To foster higher VET, we are going to assign existing higher VET qualifications like the Master Craftsman examination or the new engineer qualification to the National Qualifications Framework NQF, which is closely linked to the European Qualifications Framework EQF. For example, the mentioned qualifications Master Craftsman examination or the engineer qualification are already allocated at level 6 of the NQF. To raise international mobility of learners, we established a support program especially for those who have problems to find an apprenticeship place in the region where they live. Within this program, young people are prepared for their occupational career and accompanied during the search and start of the supra-regional apprenticeship. The European Skills Week 2018 was really impressive. It showed the importance of VET for Europe. However, the intensive meetings and discussions in the past few days showed that there is currently a high demand for activities in order to make VET fit for the future. I'm looking forward to continuing the work on this important issue. And I would like to thank the upcoming presidencies for continuing this important collaboration. In particular, I would like to thank Commissioner Marianne Thyssen for pursuing this so important issue for Europe with so much engagement. I like to congratulate all the award winners in advance who are testimonials for successful VET in Europe now and in the future.
Thank you. You've given us some insight into the developments in Austria and how that fits into the broader European perspective and upcoming presidencies. But of course, the EU is more than just the catalyst for bringing people together. The EU has a critical role to play as a funder to inspire and also to allow young people to carry out these activities and the mobility. So now I'm delighted to invite to the floor Mr. Jean Arthuis, who is a strong champion and advocate for mobility of young learners in Europe, as well as having an important role in the European Parliament as the chair of the Committee on the Budget. And I'm sure you're going to give us insight as to how EU funds could be used to develop and further take this forward. Mr. Arthuis.
I will try. Madam Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, it is for me a great honor to have been invited to speak at the closing ceremony of this third edition of the European Vocational Skills Week. The Skill Week is now an eagerly awaited forum in which it is possible to discuss how best to actively resolve crucial difficulties related to employment, economic competitiveness, and social cohesion. On a personal note, it was a real source of gratification for me to have received the prize for political innovation here in Vienna a year ago. This prize was for a pilot project adopted by the European Parliament, whose aim was to promote long-term mobility on the part of apprentices by means of the Erasmus Plus program. All credit of European Vocational Skills Week goes to Commissioner Marianne Thyssen for having organized a meeting that is now enthusiastically attended by anyone that is concerned about the opportunities that we are able to offer young people. This is particularly the case with regard to the integration of young people into the world of work. In this context today, I should like to say a few words about the importance of increasing the amount of money available for European projects designed to improve the life chances of apprentices, but also about the need to overcome non-funding related obstacles. Whilst it is regrettably true that the European Union does not yet have a union-wide education and vocational training program, the EU, nevertheless, seeks to support the member states in their efforts to improve the work opportunities and well-being of its younger citizens. A number of programs, Erasmus+, the Youth Employment Initiative, and more broadly, the European Social Fund, have all been deployed for further this goal. To these programs might also be added the Globalization Adjustment Fund, a fund for encourages vocational training schemes for people who fall victim to large-scale redundancy as a result of geographic relocation or technological change, but also automation, digitalization, or the transition of low-carbon economy. All of this involves significant sums of money. In total, over the 7 years period from 2014 to 2020, more than 94 billion euro will be committed to this objective. For the post-2020 financial framework, the Commission plans to double the volume of Erasmus Plus appropriations by 30 billion euro, and the ESF, European Social Fund, by 101 billion euro, of which 761 million euros are dedicated to the employment and social innovation strand. For our part, in the Parliament, in the interim report that Parliament will vote on next week in Strasbourg, we are hoping to triple Erasmus Plus program credits to bring youth employment initiative to its double and the European Social Fund Plus to 106 billion euros. Clearly, the European Parliament hopes to spur the Council into being more ambitious. Indeed, despite the commendable efforts of the Austrian Presidency, the Council has been slow to define its position and its mandate. That being said, the European Union is certainly moving forward and laying the groundwork for what will become the European social area. An example of this is found in the Erasmus Plus program and the steps that we are taking to extend its benefits to professional learners and apprentices. In 2017, the 30th anniversary of Erasmus was celebrated with great gusto in all countries. It goes without saying that in the course of their studies or vocational training, young people benefit enormously from coming into contact with different teaching methods and professional practices. Similarly, it is a source of great personal enrichment for them to be able to understand and express themselves in a new language and to live in a country where they can experience its culture over a period of several months. However, it remains true that despite the significant amounts of money that have already been committed, we still require more resources. Indeed, that the money available for the project only enables the satisfaction for 50% of all eligible applications remains a source of frustration. At the same time, we also need to extend the benefits of the Erasmus program beyond the privileged few. Justifiably, Erasmus is a program that both participants and the general public genuinely appreciate. Why should it be reserved for students? Indeed, a pilot project for the long-term mobility of apprentices was launched precisely in order to combat elitism in the matter and, in the process, to substantially reduce youth unemployment. In the same vein, the Commission has developed an Erasmus Pro scheme for apprentices and trainees in vocational training. To this end, 400 million has been earmarked for the year 2018, 2019, 2020. These appreciations, in addition to the funding of Erasmus Pro grants, allow 50,000 apprentices to complete at least 6 months of their training in another country within the EU while permitting VET centers to cover their costs. But it is not enough to simply throw money at Erasmus Pro. Beyond the contributions that Europe is able to make, full success still requires a real commitment from the various national actors and partners and policy makers. In particular, it is necessary to remove the obstacles created by particular national legislations, just as it is necessary to overcome the resistance that some national authorities show when it comes to recognizing the real value of mobility. Insofar as national legislation is concerned, we must pressure on our governments to harmonize provisions governing labor law and to ensure that the feasibility of long-term apprenticeships contracts. In this respect, national authorities can usefully draw on the Commission's recommendation for a European framework for quality and effective apprenticeships. As for the recognition of prior learning, the obvious reference point in this respect is framework provided by the European credit systems of vocational education training. However, its actual implementation is still excessively complicated and much greater simplification is required. We also need to devote more energy to testing twinning between VAT centers in different countries. Such twinning should involve quality charters defining the terms and conditions of the technical education on offer and a clear definition of what exactly is expected when it comes to apprentices taken on by companies. It should also be possible to clearly assess the quality of any training apprentices received by means of certification of the knowledge and experience acquired. So, Madam Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, by way of conclusion, let me say that training is, of course, key of our investment in the future. Evidently, it should be possible to mobilize the structural funds and the European Social Fund as to release financing for the creation and equipping of vocational training centers in any country. In this way, the European Union will provide that it remains and will continue to serve as a reliable partner in the fields of education and training. In particular, with the example of the Erasmus before us, it is possible to see what extent the program stimulates and consolidates the idea of European citizenship. The program simultaneously allows for a comparison of practices, inspires individuals to make progress, and serves as a platform on which it will be possible to generate prosperity in Europe. In short, Erasmus equips young people with the skills they require if they are to take control of their own future. This is itself sufficient grounds for removing existing barriers to its implementation and for making sure that we devote enough funding to the program to allow us to bring our ambitions to full fruition. Thank you for your attention.
So some of the challenges that Europe faces, and our earlier speakers have highlighted the changes in the economy, the changes in society, the shifts in the labor market. They're not just affecting Europe, they're also a global issue. So now our next speaker will put some context globally on how skills fit in the broader picture of the Sustainable Development Goals and our future progress. I'm delighted to invite Mr. Shyamal Majumdar from UNESCO Univoc to come to the stage.
Honorable Commissioner, Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, and ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. Before I start my presentation, first I'd like to thank a deep appreciation to European Commission and Austrian government to organizing such a wonderful, stimulating, provocative Vet Week here. And this is a great achievement, I think, which need to be followed. My concrete suggestion is, I have already put that forward to the interagency group and other forum. In not only European Vet Week, there should be a global Vet Week where we all will meet together and see. My deliberation, because time restriction is there, only 10 minutes, so I choose the subject that today when you are building scenario, because yesterday there was a very stimulating discussion, I think there are 3 scenarios you have discussed how Europe will be in 2030. You know, I'm so fortunate to say one thing today, that 15 September 2015, United Nations, all the member states came up with one scenario, and that is the global scenario. What is that global scenario? Is basically global agenda for sustainable development, cutting across any country talked about. Either you are in Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Caribbean, or you are in Europe, doesn't matter. These 17 goals applicable to all of you. By 2030, each country has promised, ministers, president, highest body has promised, there will be no poverty, no hunger, there will be good health, quality education. Basically, 17 goals has three parts. Economic goal with decent job, we have social goal, and we have environmental goal. I will rather say to all the region nowadays, instead of our own scenario, we need to align this one with sustainable development goal. Definitely each region has its own scenario, but it must be aligned with the global scenario, because it is so fortunate today that we don't have to tell that Millennium Development Goal is only for the developing country, not for the developed country. But today I can say this is valid for Germany, Austria, and it is also valid for Bangladesh and Fiji. What a good instrument we have. We must get that. There are 17 goals and 169 targets. Among the 17 goals, I already said they're categorically on the skill. It's already mentioned what goal they have to achieve. Now, what is special about this? Why I'm so much emotional about this sustainable development goal? The reason is a new vision for people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. Never before we considered economic, social, and environmental dimension and people at the heart. If people are not happy, not prosperous, nothing will be materialized. So that's why there is called 5 Ps, people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. It is universally relevant, which I have already seen. This is holistic for the 3. It is transformative, leaving no one left behind. It is education as a fundamental right. And finally, there is only one educational agenda, no 2, 3 agenda. One educational agenda. This is nothing but goal 4 of SDG, that this one is this goal 4, quality education. Everybody has to strive for that. And what is the goal? Ensure equitable, inclusive, quality education and lifelong learning opportunities all by 2030. 4.3, 4.4, and 4.5, exclusively for skill. Quality, access, decent job, gender inclusion, all has been covered. But to me, when I look back, it's not only goal 4. Any of the goal we mentioned here, without skill, can you realize that? Just look at this graph. We tried to portray with GIZ in Germany and said for each of the goal, skill is needed. We want no poverty. If skill being given to the people, they can earn, the poverty will be reduced, empowering on the skill. When you look at good health, without paramedical staff, nurses, all this, how the hospital will be run, whether it is Industry 4.0, 5.0, whatever we can say, ultimately skill will come into the play, and we need to do that. So in each of the cases, you will see without skill, it is not possible. That's why cutting across country, if you travel any country, skill at the center stage. And UNESCO give high priority to that. But we are also telling to all member states that just investing on VET is not the answer. Don't follow the past mistake. You have to transform the TVET before you scale it up. Why transformation is needed? All skill policies need to be reviewed on 3 lenses. Economic lenses, to see whether aligned to the labor market and decent job. Need to be social angle with equity, and all these issues need to be included. And we need to be futuristic, not for today, but for tomorrow. And that's why we need to talk about greening, digitization, all upcoming. What's the implication? How are we going to prepare on that? If we combine this thing, then you have a holistic picture of transformation will come into that. My real challenge to all of you, because I always regard Europe is like a dream, you know. Maybe you are used to, but for an outsider like us, I'm from India, sometimes when I look at European Union and others, it's like a dream, you know, all the countries working together, mobility established. There are some difficulties coming nowadays. It's sad also. We are also saddened on that. But we think that you are the model. Don't be disheartened. What you have started is the model. We have to go that way. There is no other answer to it. Maybe there will be ups and downs in the program. That's why I will say the challenge is coming to us. The most important challenges that the labor market will face tomorrow is to prepare graduates for jobs that doesn't exist. And the figure is 65% of the children entering grade school today will end up working in jobs that do not even exist. Now tell me, as a teacher, how do you prepare students if you do not know what occupation they will do? But we need to find an answer to that. The way technology is changing fast, we are not so much whatever, you know, short-term prediction sometimes work, mid-term, long-term, or academic exercise. It doesn't work yet. We do not know exactly what is happening. So that way, we are talking that the fundamental thing we need to do is foundation, transversal, and technical skill, three to be combined. I give transversal skill at the heart, adaptability and learning to learn skill. If you don't tell them how to learn quickly, how to adopt the situation quickly, then we will not respond to that. And there, the transversal skill of attitude, values, interpersonal, cognitive skill, learning to learn skill, adaptability skill will come to play. With that challenges, with UNESCO Univoc, we have 240 Univoc centers, and I'm proud to say that Austria is one of the Univoc centers. Here we are working not only in Austria, it is in 167 countries, and these are spread out. We are trying to build up three things: facilitating youth employment and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship to us is a very critical. We cannot provide salary job to the people, the young entrants that are coming to the labor market. We need to be innovative here, and you will be surprised to know how much bottom-up innovations are coming up with entrepreneurship in developing countries. Unbelievable way there, people are trying to solve on that. Second one, promoting equity and gender equality, very critical issue, very critical issue. And third one, facilitating transition to greener and digital economy. With this, I have only my last slide, and I'm getting a signal. I have to stop it here, and I like to say one thing. Let us build up a bridge between Europe and the rest of the world to transform TVET for sustainable development. And that's the answer to me.
That is both an offer and a challenge to us to look beyond Europe to create new partnerships and bridges. And I'm sure this is something we'll be taking as inspiration in the coming weeks. I'd like to finish this session, this opening session, by hearing from some people who have been on a vet journey themselves. Let's hear from some people who can share their insights on what vet has meant for them and how it's been part of their life path. So I'd like to invite to join me here on the stage Leonardo Miodrag and Karin Meyer. Please come to join me. Leonardo, I'm going to start with you. We've heard a lot about the political importance and the monies that's been put into vet. We've heard why it's being seen as so strategic, but it's all about people. Yeah. And people getting a chance to change and transform their lives. Tell us about your experience.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were talking a lot about in these past days about vocational education, and I really can say it changed my life. It all started in elementary school. I didn't know what I want. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to be a bus driver. I didn't know. But it all changed with my teacher in informatics and computer science when she introduced me to media communication. And then I developed a really big sense of belonging to that trait. And at the end of my elementary school, I found out that there was this really amazing vocational school in a city near me. I applied. I was there for 4 years. It was a really amazing experience from amazing professors who were there for us, and they were not only professors, they were friends. So we were having activities beyond school, projects beyond school, and we were participating on a lot of EU projects. So that was an opening experience for me. And after that, it was time for university. And I'm not the person who likes to sit down and just learn theory. So I found that there is a higher vocational education in Denmark, where I'm currently studying multimedia design at University College of Northern Denmark. Amazing experience. We work in groups with amazing colleagues from all over the world on projects that are real life and that can benefit companies and society around us. So that was an opening experience for me.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So Leonardo has just explained to us how a teacher identified a talent and a possibility, and that opened up a new path and a promising career. What's your story, Karin?
Yes, I also attended a school, a secondary school for economic professions, and I didn't think that I was a good learner, especially in languages. And it ended with a final exam, the A level, and afterwards I went 2 months to London as an au pair girl, no, to Great Britain, and there I really got inspired about learning a language, because then it started to be easy to learn something and not to sit down and to think, okay, can I get something into my brain, and then to tell us the teacher. And this one happened again when I just started with my work life. I really got fun in the combination of learning theoretical part and then just doing real in work life in the duties I had to do as secretary or as bookkeeper, and later on I started to become a vocational teacher, and this one still goes on. I have to learn every day, and I don't recognize really that I learn, and I think vocational education training makes to me sense because you use all your senses. You do something and then you get something into your brain, and that's the main point for me. And I really like it, and I'm highly motivated still. And it's very important. Also, just regarding to the former speakers, that going to other countries, learning the culture, working there helps you for the rest of your life.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you both to think about 3 words that would describe the impact that VET has made on your lives. What would you say? 3 words.
3 words. Inspiring, life-changing. 3rd word. Future.
That's already pretty big. Life-changing, but okay. Inspiring, life-changing, and future. Karin, for you.
Yes, motivating, motivation, self-confidence, and having fun.
Having fun. Okay, thank you. And the theme of having fun has run through our conference this week, the sense of enjoyment and energy and enthusiasm that we've seen last night and also today. So thank you both for coming to share your story. I'm now going to bring this session to a close. You will now have a mini opportunity for fun because it's a coffee break. I'm going to, if I could invite the nominees to please stay here for a few minutes so we can rehearse what's going to happen for the awards ceremony. For the rest of you, coffee and refreshments awaits you outside. Please be back to start promptly at 11. Thank you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. Thank you. Please take a seat. We now come to perhaps the most anticipated part of the week for two reasons. The first reason is that many of you seated here want to know who has successfully won the awards. It's anticipated from my side and the organizer's side because it is the most complicated piece for us to arrange. So please bear with us. We'll have to change the furniture on the stage, and there'll be lots of things that we need to organize. So in advance, I'm telling you that we have many challenges to deal with, and I ask for your indulgence if we need moments to get this right. So before the break, we heard about the important commitment that the European Union is making financially and politically to skills and education of all levels, and how VET plays a key role in the broader sustainable development goals and societal progress. So what we're now going to do is have a panel conversation to explore what is the future of VET in that broader context of education and skills. So I would like to invite my panel members to come and join me. And I would like to start by inviting René van Schalkwijk, who's the president of EU ProVet. Please come and join me. Christoph Leitl, the president of the Association of European Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Eurochambre. I have Liliane Wolozinskis, who is from SME United, the director for social affairs and training policies. I have Lina Carr, the confederal secretary for the European Trade Union Confederation. I have Maxime Ceruti, the director of social affairs for Business Europe. I have Dieter Treidas, the president for World Skills Europe, and I have Dana Bachmann, the head of unit from the European Commission. A few days ago, here we had a conference organized by CEDEFOP, which was looking at the future of VET. And they asked the question, is VET thriving or is it under threat? So my question for you as a group, the future of VET, where is it going? And let's focus a little bit on the fact that we are about to enter a period of change at EU level. Next year is the big musical chairs game. There'll be changes in the European Parliament, and there will be a new Commission. And they will all be looking to see what should be the next big priorities for Europe. Where should the focus be? And my question I'm going to ask you, where should VET be positioned in the next priorities? If you had the privileged position of being in a room with the incoming Commission and the incoming members of the European Parliament, what would you like to tell them about how VET is strategic in the future of Europe? And I'm going to open this to anyone on the panel to start me. Who would like to speak? Yes, please, take a microphone.
Okay, good morning to everybody. Your question was interesting. What will be the priority of the incoming European Parliament and the incoming European Commission? Don't forget it. First of all, thank you on behalf of all companies throughout Europe. And as Eurochamber, I'm presenting 20 million companies in 1,700 chamber organizations, which are heavily involved in education. And thank you for your engagement, because the question, what is coming to us? What is challenging us? And how are we responding to these challenges? It's the main question of the incoming European Parliament and the incoming European Commission. The next 5 years will be decisive years, and they will decide if we succeed or if we fail. What is Europeans' USP? We know the dynamic of China. We know the, now it's hard for me to find words, strategy of United States. We're facing that. What's our response? how to win this game of globalization. And there is one core word, that is education. And not only school education, not only skills education, but combined education. We should give all young people with their talents, with their ambitions, with their future hopes, perspectives, with their talents to succeed, because we accompany them, the young people, out in all parts of the world, and therefore with the combination of current knowledge sectors to new products, to new services, to innovation, and a better implementation of these innovations in all parts of the world, that's the way we can succeed. But education is the basis for that, and thank you very much for your engagement in that.
Okay, thank you. So, I see the panel is energized. Lilian.
Thank you so much. First of all, we are in a time of change, and therefore I would like to make a big announcement. As you can see on the screen, UAPME belongs to the past. I'm now representing SME United. And within SME United, we have the EU, which is really our European spirit. And I'm very proud to represent really an organization for craft and SMEs, which is really turned to the future. And when we speak about the future of VET, I really see, I would say, bright future. Because for us, for craft and SMEs, VET is really as a key relevance, first of all, because craft and SMEs organizations and enterprises are, first of all, the first providers of work-based learning, apprenticeship places. They are the main employers of VET, or young people train, or even adult train in VET. And last but not least, I repeat really the words of our Commissioner Marianne Thyssen, there are also the next entrepreneurs. They create really companies, new businesses. And for these three reasons, for us, VET has a bright future. And second, VET and labor market are two sides of the same coin. Particularly in a time of change, this is what we see, and I have many more elements to bring inside, but as we are represented here as European social partners, I would tend to see what is key for the future of VET is really governance, partnership, and really to have on board businesses, business organizations, and social partners in the driver's seat. We heard the Swiss scenario yesterday, and it's really a key element for us.
Thank you. Lina.
It works?
Yes.
Yeah, it works. Thank you. Just one little reminder. The European Alliance for Apprenticeships was 5 years old this summer. And this has been a really great success for European social partners working together with the Commission and trying to implement this. From this year, we also have the Council recommendation to Member States for the implementation of this alliance. So for the future new Parliament and the incoming Commission, there is just one big central issue that they have to deal with. Implement what is already there on the ground and make it even better.
Excellent, thank you. I'm coming this way. Dieter and then Maxime.
I think that the conditions that we are sitting in this exact company here is a message itself. We are in Europe as many or little as we are. So when we compete globally, then we can't compete with the size of our countries, I mean inhabitant-wise. So then, instead of that message that we can be very big, millions and billions, I think our message and our drive is productivity of our economy and its competitiveness globally. And Europe as a community is competing in the world indeed as a community, not as separate countries. But this linkage, which is a tripartite, which we were so often mentioning last 2 days, isn't really the good reality in all of our countries. In, of course, German-speaking countries, and especially in Austria and Switzerland, that is the case from where the VET starts. But it's not in everywhere. European Parliament and European Commission has been devoting a huge amount of funding to really to grant and favor vocational education and training. Still, as I'm the National Erasmus Program Director in my country, also I manage Horizon 2020, Contact Point, and European Social Fund as well, I see very, very clearly how these things indeed help to our countries. But unfortunately, when I speak with my colleagues in other countries, then for instance, European Social Fund is not really widely used by countries and programmed respectively by the ministries to really favor this VET, career guidance, a linkage with Europe, with the labor market and entrepreneurs and employers. No, it is not the case everywhere. Even Erasmus Plus program, which is so grand, and that is a success story of Europe, it in fact addresses youngsters who are already in VET, but not those who have to make the choice. So career guidance is somehow, somewhere in the backstage of all this. But the events like this event, like Euroskills, which is a Europe-wide competition, in fact, in a short period of time, in a few days, gathers so many people and gets attraction of so many people. For instance, in Budapest, Euroskills this year, in 3 days, attracted 85,000 youngsters who are not in vocational education, but who probably will choose that education to join and make their education career in this stream. Therefore, I would really be mentioning that Euroskills and European skills competitions and any international competitions, even national, in fact is a very, very good career guidance tool. And it praises excellence, and excellence, national, regional, and European. Thank you.
Thank you. Maxime.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here today. And I'm glad to be here today because I think this third VET Week shows that the European policy on apprenticeships and on vocational training more generally is paying off. And that's important because, of course, as you were saying to us, we are now at the time when we are trying to understand what works, what doesn't work. And of course, the next European Commission will need to do the right things. And here we've got a good approach for European policy. It's an area of national competence, and it's an area where actions are needed on a national level. But at the same time, I think the European Commission and us, European social partners, being very much involved in the process, we've been able to trigger momentum. We've been able to trigger change. And this change is driven by the fact that there are in Europe countries that are best delivering on vocational education and training, on apprenticeships. We've been able to understand that. We've been able to have a European policy that builds on these strengths and that tries to spread the good message and the strengths that exist in some countries in Europe across the continent. And that's very special, that's very positive. But I think the strengths of vocational education and training is basically the match between skills and jobs. The fact that people who are going to learn through this route of learning, they are able to find jobs more easily than others. And therefore, we should really make sure that this strength is going to be better represented in other forms of education, in general education, like in higher education, more focus on learning outcomes. There is a debate on what will be the future, and I heard that part of the scenarios is also the blurring between vocational education and training and general education. That's a reality that you need to ensure that the pathways of education are interacting well with one another, that there is permeability, and that is an area of progress. But at the same time, we should make sure that vocational education and training does not become too formal, that it remains what it is, which is learning by doing, having fun, making sure that people initiate, undertake, try, by doing mistakes sometimes, but really do things, and that makes them happy. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, Maxime. Renee, you pick up, and then Dana. It will work when the technical team see
it will work when I start talking. I've been reflecting, listening to the others, on what the Parliament and the Commission should do in terms of VET. And there's only one word that came to mind, because the future is here. And it's the word that is very well known in Europe. It's the word community. We have to rebuild the community, not only at the scale of Europe, but I think we should also build the community at the scale of nations and local areas. And one thing of a sense of community is that if you have a challenge, you can only master this challenge if you do it together. And one of the great things that I refer to the future of VET is in this room, that the sense that have been growing over the past years with the VET Skills Week is that the people who are sitting here on the stage are committed to themselves to see the things that they have in common. It is easy to create division. It's more difficult to create a common purpose and a common solution to the challenges that we all face. So that's one of the things that I would like to be transferred to the Commission and the Parliament. And well, I've got some ideas on the future of that, but maybe I have an opportunity to do that later.
Sure. Nana.
I think, like the other speakers, I would like to start by saying that for us, and not only for me, but for everyone in the Commission team, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. You know, we work the whole year preparing this, and then we come here and we get our dose of energy, enthusiasm to keep on going. And exactly what René just said, we have this feeling of belonging to a community which is very much dedicated to the European values. And as regards the future, a few key messages that I take from the richness of meetings is, first of all, we talk about all the trends that will impact us and whether we are the passive actors or whether we try to ride on these trends. And one keynote speaker yesterday made a very strong remark and very valid, indeed, that we shouldn't worry only about the mega trends, but we should worry about all the micro decisions that we are taking, because what we make of our future, it's also the result of little steps that each of us take in our life, in our professional networks and so forth. But I am not worried about that, because this sense of community that we feel here, it gives me a quite optimistic scenario that we are taking the good micro decisions. Then another key message that I take, we talked a lot about how to upscale all the wonderful practices we have heard throughout these days. And we have the feeling that we keep on trying all the time the same solution, working within the same parameters of the system. And it's important to acknowledge the wider, let's say, conditionalities being linked to the accounting system. So if you want companies to invest more in the training, we need to make sure that the way the accounting systems are set up allow companies to report that as an investment and not as a cost. And last but not least, we come here and we are very impressed by the positive welcoming of the initiative of Centers of Vocational Excellence. I think we hear it from all the different meetings that could be one bottom-up approach that will allow putting into practice the skills ecosystem principle that we keep on talking. And it's important that we work at the local community level, that VET is part, it's connected to the wider education training system, to social economic actors, and this is all taking place in the local communities, but then there is the wider window of connection in the European and even global scale. And I think the links to the Sustainable Development Goals and what we do in Europe also to link on delivering on those goals is quite important. Thank you.
Okay. Let me ask you another question, because Europe is quite good at finding new things to do when there's a crisis that forces that. And the First Lady yesterday explained that EAFA, the European Alliance for Apprenticeships, is 5 years old, which is just at the stage a child would be going towards school. And we're now 3 years of the European Vocational Skills Week. Now, both of those are children that were born at a time of economic crisis, when Europe really decided it needs to invest time and money and political energy in doing something to tackle unemployment, and particularly youth unemployment. We're now starting to move towards better times. Employment in Europe, across Europe is at the highest it's ever been. There are still some black spots that need to be addressing. My question to you is, for the future of VET, how do we make sure that all of that political focus and momentum that was put in as a result of crisis doesn't flow away when things get better and attention can move elsewhere? How can we use this foundation and build on it in the future? Tough question, panel. Maxime.
The first thing is that there is a need, and the need was not linked to a particular circumstance of a crisis. The link is we have societies in Europe that have experienced for a long time unemployment to a high level. And I think VET is a solution to unemployment. And we've seen that with the countries that have good VET systems, they have much lower unemployment, particularly for the young. So the issue is not an issue that is to be addressed for a number of years. It's a structural issue. It's something that we need to do permanently. In the short term, there is one particular issue, which is that in many countries across Europe, there are shortages of skills. And there are mismatches of skills. So vocational education and training, because it does best the match, has a very important role to play for that in the short term. But I think where we really need to focus attention also of policymakers and education and training providers is to improve the link between skills needs, documenting those skills needs, and to define qualifications frameworks in the member states that are going to be well attuned with those changing skills needs. And the reality today is that it's not always the case and that it takes a long time to change qualifications. But we need to be quicker at that.
Okay. Lina. Excuse me.
Yes, indeed. I think I totally agree with him in the sense that the need for skills and skilled workers will not disappear, regardless of crisis or no crisis. I think it's when we come out from crisis, it means that the level of employment goes up and there is actually even more critical need for specific skills on the labor market. So the education system, the vocational education and training system, also training people who are in employment will not disappear. It will only get stronger, the need. So we need to, yes, make the chain shorter between the needs of the labor market and what comes out from the training and education establishments. And I think because the apprenticeship and the work that the social partners have done in this area, this cooperation, this good foundation, this strong cooperation that you refer to in the first round needs to be utilized and taken further.
Thank you. Liliane wants to come in also. I see Christophe.
It's very good to continue the partnership, the European Social Partnership. I really would like to build on what my two colleagues said, and when we speak about changes, it's about adaptation. And this is what we need to do also for VET. And there we have seen also, you mentioned that there is in some countries a low level of unemployment. There is skills needs, skills gap, and skills mismatch, which mean that we need also not only to invest in initial vocational education and training, but in continuous training as well. And what I see really as a key challenge is how to, I would tend to say, have a higher level of VET. And this is really what we are promoting a lot, higher VET. But higher VET demand-driven, really, which correspond exactly to the new needs on the labor market of businesses to have together technical and also hands-on skills, because this is really the future for us.
Okay. Christophe, I know you wanted to come in on this, and I also would like you to just reflect on some of the comments I heard in the last 2 days, that VET, of course, has a key role in all the things you've mentioned about skills mismatch and competitiveness and the labour market. But VET also has a key role in building active citizens, citizens who feel engaged, who feel like they belong, and they can play a role in society. So I'd like us to also reflect a little bit more about the role of VET in that way to the broader society rather than just to the labour market. But Christophe.
Yes, you're completely right. Therefore, I mentioned just before the combination of the traditional school education and the skills education. and combining that, you will have the contribution to the citizen. I have been for 18 years president in this house and was engaged in these matters. My experience is that we have to inform young people at the age of 13 or 14 years, where are your competencies, where are your talents? They mostly simply don't know that. And we now cover these testifying around the country in Austria. And to show you one figure, the gap of skilled people has widened since the crisis. It became not closer. And it's worldwide a lack of skills. In China, in US, wherever you're coming to, it's a lack of skills. And therefore, we have to give an appropriate answer. And we in Austria have a good experience, like some other countries, with the dual system. That means professional education and combination with school. And those countries in European Union who are doing in that way have only 1/3 of youth unemployment figures than those who don't. And that should be kept in our mind. And therefore, you are sitting here and you are thinking, because we have lack of skills, mismatch on labor market, and we have responsibility for young people to give them hopes and perspectives for their lives. And that's what we can do, what we can afford.
René.
I think on your question, there's a lot of thinking being done. We've got the 4 pillars of education, to know, to do, to be, to live together. And I think that we should refer to those 4 and every time look at who's responsible for what, at what age, at what time in the development. As to talents, as you said, I think we have this thing, Discover Your Talent. I think we all know that we have to try and stimulate people to discover their talents, because over their lifespan, they will need more talents than only one, like they need more different jobs than only one. From the provider side, we see the following that's going to happen. We should try to find a way to even think about out of our own vet box on education. Yesterday, some of my colleagues referred to that. We have to look new at education. And we coined it hype. Not a hype like something that's passing, the hype with the age of hybrid. We are going, as CEDEFOP also said, the barriers between between corporations and between schools will blur. So it will not only be an apprenticeship in which someone is at a school and sent to a company. It will also be, and there are already examples of that, of companies coming to the school, or startups starting at a school, which is also prominent already in some universities. So we will see a hybrid development. The next is integrated. What you said, the distinction between general and vocational education is actually dysfunctional. Almost everybody who goes into education at one point in time will have a job to do. Self-employed or employed, they will have competences, they need to do something. So it's not like you have general jobs or vocational jobs, because that is an idea that dates from 100 years back, manual labor and intellectual labor. Almost all jobs will involve both intellectual capacities as manual or dexterity capacities. So we would have to integrate the two of them. Why, if you bear with me a moment, why it's also important, if the change is so very fast, at the initial phase, we would have to concentrate on those knowledges and competences that will not change that fast. Because otherwise, if you do that in the initial education, by the time people have finished the initial education, the skills will be obsolete. So why do this? And this requires a very flexible and variety in continuing education. And the P is for professional, so we will not have the distinction between vocational and professional. And of course, the E is for education, for the 4 pillars that I described earlier.
Okay, thank you. Dana and Dieter, you need to make some final brief comments because we're running out of time for the panel. So, Dieter, would you like to speak, and then Dana, you'll give us the final elements?
All right, thank you. I remember very well two sentences was used during these 2 days. One was very nice. The soft skills nowadays in VET aren't any soft any longer. They are hard skills. And second, that when you talk about education, about VET, you shouldn't talk about it within only educators. You have to talk with employers too. But I think that employers are that clever and that experienced already that they, in communication to educators, can really put the message, what are the soft skills as well, because they see every day what is the requirements of their employees working in that company. But the problem of every country is, as I'm public servant for 25 years, is how to really to get back in the VET training curriculum, all that what employers can say to us. And they can say a lot, but we need these mechanisms where we can really, not only national employers, but European employers, European associations, making our skills levels higher and more ambitious. We cannot talk about VET only nowadays as being inclusive. It must be inclusive and excellent at the same time.
Thank you. Dana.
One reflection on the eternal question on the objectives of VET. Is it for the labor market? Is it for the personal development? And I think we always make the comment that you cannot have one without the other. And when we talk a lot about the training that is provided in company versus the training provided in schools, it always appears as if we assume that what's provided in company, it's only for the technical skills. And actually, when you look at it, it's all about all the soft, hard skills that Dita mentioned. It's about working in a team. It's about finding solutions, being creative, and so forth. So I think we always need to keep in mind these dual purposes also of the training in the company, that it's not only to get the job specific, but it's also to get this broader set of skills. And a last comment as regards the momentum. Are we losing the momentum because we go out of the crisis? And I think we are not losing the momentum because we see it here. The momentum is, we just feel that it's growing higher and higher. But I think it's also a very good opportunity for us to take a bit of a critical look at how we design our education training system, how we design the funding policies, because the way we do it so far, it was very clearly also highlighted from our colleagues from Singapore, is with the front-load approach. We put all the public financing for the initial years of education and training, but there is much less funding attention being paid to the learning that we have to do throughout our lives as adults. So I think it's also a good momentum to think how we engineer our financing system, our cost-sharing arrangements in order to ensure that indeed VET is for everyone, for young and for adults alike. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So let me just try and summarize some of the key messages from our panel about the future of VET, bearing in mind that next year is the game of musical chairs, and there will be incoming Parliament, incoming European Commission, who will all be thinking what their priorities will be. And the message from the panel seems to be very clear, that the VET response has been enormous to helping address the crisis, but the problem was structural and it existed before, and although economies are growing, we still have skills mismatch, we still have skills shortages, and that the partnerships that were created through this, the momentum, the documents and the political recommendations through the Council need to be both implemented and built on, because VET has a tremendous amount to offer society, and we need to also update and reform VET so it is closer integrated with other forms of education. We need to now make sure we're getting sufficient focus on quality and excellence so that VET can stand up as a proud member of the spectrum of education and training, and then also receive the kind of funding and prestige and recognition that it deserves that it currently isn't getting. I think that's a very good set of messages from you for the next mandate, and it sets out a positive future of VET. So can we say a warm thank you to our panel members? Thank you. If you'd like to go and sit down. And this is one of those moments where we've got a big changeover happening on the stage behind me. So please ignore the people moving tables and chairs, because we're now going to start a conversation with some of the people who helped make this week a success. Earlier today, we recognized Anne for her work organizing last night's awards dinner. But to get so many people involved, if you remember the slide that the Commissioner showed, how many people have been touched? More than 1 million people have been touched or engaged in one way or another in an activity. 1,500 events and more across Europe in 47 countries. More than 30 million people engaged in some social media interaction about the European Vocational Skills Week. That is extraordinary. And that part of that energy and momentum was created by a group of people who are our ambassadors. So what I would now like to do is invite our ambassadors to please come up on stage and join me, and we will recognize your work and hear the experiences of some of you. So please, come and join me, ambassadors. Come. Be a little bit more friendly. Come together so we can all fit in. A little bit closer, please. Yes, or move to the center. That's it. All the way through. Yes. Okay. So these, can we have a round of applause, please, for our ambassadors? We are recognizing the effort you put in. Because I don't think if we make an announcement in Brussels that we're going to have a week and we just hope people will take it in, that things actually happen. You had to take the word out. You had to make the message, infuse people, energize people, bring people together, create local communities that the previous panel talked about, bring people together, sometimes force them to work together and think outside their box. So we don't underestimate the effort you put in. And the success of this week is very much down to all of your efforts. So we thank you very much. But let me now interview a couple of you just to find out, how did you end up in this position? What brought you to being an ambassador? And I'm going to start with Elaine. Elaine Pavia, let me give you the microphone. Ambassadors come because they bring a certain passion. They bring an enthusiasm and an interest, and often that is grounded on their own experience. Tell us your pathway to becoming an ambassador.
Okay. So I take you through my journey, which actually started back in 2005. I started my journey by studying health and social care at level 1 at the Malta College of Art, Sciences and Technology, MCAST. As I progressed from one level to another, in 2012, I graduated with a first-class degree in Bachelor's of Art in Health and Social Care Management. Following my graduation from the Svet College in Malta, I can now proudly say that through the knowledge gained on both a theoretical level and also through hands-on practice, I have been appointed the head of services of an emergency domestic violence shelter in Malta and have been managing it for the past 4 years. Discover Your Talent has been the motto for the European Vocational Skills Week 2018. As ambassadors representing our respective European countries, we shall keep this motto alive wherever we go. Parents, guardians, and society at large in our respective countries need to be constantly informed about the developments of VET, as VET is the key which opens the home of success in life. In fact, it is with great pride that, on a daily basis, I am increasingly surrounded by professionals who are VET graduates. VET is a smart choice, I must say, leading to excellence in education, high-quality jobs, and increased employability. Speaking from my personal experience, the great satisfaction and joy that a VET graduate can get are the dignity and respect that a person continues to feel for many years after graduating, not only as they progress in career, but in their personal life as well.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Stefan, I'm going to ask you to share some of your experience because I believe your VET pathway is also what has inspired you to be an ambassador.
Absolutely. I think to Marianne Thyssen, why is VET the #1 choice for everyone in life is why it has been life-changing experience for myself. When I was 30 years ago in the position like many youngsters were, here, we heard it the whole week, to make a choice in their life, I was passionate in motorbikes, which probably many youngsters are. And I had the fortune that my parents supported me to follow my passion. So I ended up as a mechanic, a 4 years apprenticeship in mechanics. These building blocks I learned there, those transversal skills, which we heard this morning, are key to success today, to succeed, and probably also tomorrow, were to take on responsibility very early on, like everyone did, to work in teams and collaborate. There is nothing more important in today's digital world to do so, but also to drive results and to respect other people's results. But most important is to trust yourself and to trust to follow your passion. That led me to where I am today. I'm today on the executive board of a Fortune 500 company of the Adecco Group, the world leader in HR solutions. And I'm passionate with a great team to help making the future world through work for everyone, which I think is fantastic, and only following my passion led me where I am today. And in a world, like we heard in the panel before, which is full of opportunities, once you decide to act on it, and the Commission, and Marianne Thyssen has acted on it with that program, is the way we should go. And to link it with the sustainable goals, the global sustainable goals, as well as making it global would be my wish for the WET in the future, and also the Commission's recommendation next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Baska?
Dear Commissioner, dear member of the European Parliament, dear colleagues, national WET ambassadors, dear ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me being here, and I would like to tell why I'm a national ambassador for Slovakia. I am now the president of the self-governing region of Trenčín, also a member of the National Council, National Parliament in Slovakia. And despite that I'm a more politician now, I studied secondary technical school, so I can say, or we can say that I'm also a technician. When I became the president of the self-governing region of Trenčín, I told myself that we have to change our secondary vocational schools, and because when the new companies, new interpreters are coming to our region, the first question was how your students, your people are skilled and how they are educated. So that's the first question of entrepreneurs. We have a lot of companies from Germany, mainly from Germany, and that's why we started listening more the needs of entrepreneurs and the companies that are coming to our region. And within these 4 years, we are the leader, our region is the leader of WET within the whole Slovakia. And we have more than almost 900 students that are studying for companies in our region. All 22 secondary vocational schools are connected within this WET. And we have 91 companies that this almost 900 students are teaching for these companies. I think this benefits must be from VT, must be given to all stakeholders. I mean, students, region, government, and also entrepreneurs, companies, and also for our schools. I think we are doing well, and we are prepared to promote this VT and we started promotion of VT because we want to say the pupils at the elementary schools why they should join VT, and we prepared some nice promotion for them. It's called the Hero of the Craft. Hero of the Crafts. It's a cartoon. These are mystical person. Every mystical person represents some kind of job or some kind of skills the companies in our region need. So we would like to continue in this, and if we want, I heard the panelists before, if we need the European Union and the Europe more competitive, we talk about 4.0 industry. So we need skilled and well-educated and trained people. So thank you very much, and I hope Europe will be more competitive using this VT.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, these ambassadors have done an extraordinary job to make this year a success. What we'd like you all to do is consider yourselves all individually future ambassadors. And now I'm going to ask you to pull out your smartphones because we're going to ask you to vote on something. If you consider yourselves to be ambassadors, like this team have done for this year, we're going to bring up some options, because what we're going to ask you is if you were the ambassador yourselves, because we are a community, as the previous panel said, and it's our job, our task, to get the message out and to infuse people. So if you were going to be the ambassador for the European Vocational Skills Week next year, what would you do to raise awareness for the week? And we've got 4 options for you to choose from. You should, when you open the app, you should find an orange button that should give you some voting. I can see we're already starting to get results. Let me tell you what the choices were, because you may not have your phones with you. Let's see if this is what you did. We gave you the option of focusing on social media, seeking out TV interviews, get yourself on TV, use social and traditional media, or focus on the face-to-face contacts, conference speaking, networking, going out one-to-one in schools. And looking at the votes that we've had from the audience, TV is not the big winner. It's neck and neck. A third of the audience feel that what they would be doing was doing face-to-face, inspirational, using their stories the way you have done and your own life histories to inspire others. I know that you've gone into schools and done things. A third of you would be looking on social and traditional media, again, using the amplifying effect of getting the message out. Let me invite any of you to share a story on any of those 4 options that you've done. Has anyone specialized in face-to-face contacts, getting out there? Tell me what you did.
Thank you, Tasman, Commissioner, and distinguished guests and ambassadors. I went and did talks in schools, and there was one particular school in Drogheda in Ireland, and it was Educate Together. There was 180 students, and I did a face-to-face. There was 2 classes of 90 in a group, and I did a little survey with them on A, B, C, and D. Where would you see yourself when you grow up? You know, would you go to a university? Will you do an apprenticeship? Would you just like to work, or you're not sure? And it was very interesting after speaking to they were 12 and 13-year-olds, so they were only in 1st year, and they were so energetic and very engaging. And they opened my mind for coming over here, because I would have always spoke to transition years and early school leavers and that. So that kind of early intervention changed their minds and what they put on the page, because a lot of them put in for apprenticeships.
Right.
And some of them wanted to be astronauts, and some of them wanted to work at McDonald's. So,
and you need apprenticeships for both.
Yes, and I told them like about my story about leaving school, and someone said to me yesterday, like, you know, you were a dropout, but Steve Jobs was a dropout.
True.
And so on that note, I think the positive thing was that VET had helped me with my education training. Now I own a company, so I was able to tell that story to the young people, and an inspiration for them as well to see a woman in a male industry as a role. And the place where I worked was only round the corner from the newly built school, so it was very engaging, and I definitely would have recommended it, and I'm going to continue to do it as well.
Thank you.
I got a lot from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may say something regarding your question, we all knew that the bad perception regarding vocational education, it's important for us, and we want to change this. I recommend to use TV, because if we want to change perception at the national levels, TV is still the more powerful tool in communication. So use TV as campaigns, not, I don't know, interviews, but the TVC are important to change the perception at the national levels. Of course, face-to-face contact are important, but use also TV.
Thank you. I think one thing that you find in common amongst all of these options is they're about communication. And the most powerful message that you all have is your personal stories, your personal paths that can be inspiration, that can give people new options and get them to question what they thought they knew and open up new paths. So just as a show of hands amongst my ambassadors, how many of you have found that the number one thing in your speeches that you give is your story? The number one thing that you tell people about is your story. And you find that the most convincing? So I think if you look at all the research on how people understand things, we trust people like us. We listen to people like us. So having individuals share their stories about how VET and vocational skills have transformed their lives and open up options is clearly something that makes a big impact for you as an ambassadors. So once again, I'd like to say a warm thank you to all of our ambassadors. Could we give them another round of applause for their activities? We heard earlier in the little video that was shown that there will definitely be a fourth, probably a fifth, and we'll certainly need a sixth European Vocational Skills Week. So we hope we can count on you again in the future to keep sharing the message and inspiring audiences. Thank you again. And now we move to the part of the agenda where many of you have been waiting to hear. Last night, we recognized people nominated for excellence. And excellence came up in our panel this morning as a key issue, an area where VET really needs to create some new space. So now I'm delighted to be inviting the European Commissioner, Mrs. Thyssen, to come and join me on stage, because we are going to be discovering who is going to be winning the awards. So, Commissioner, if you will just wait, we will be bringing up various different things. Can we have the envelopes, please? So, Commissioner, as you know, last night, the votes have now come in. They've been counted. You have the responsibility to open the envelope, but let me just tell you what is the first category for the awards that we're going to be looking at. We have 4 categories of awards, and the first one is for the companies and learners. And the first award is for the European Alliance for Apprenticeships. And we have 2 nominees. Could our nominees please come and stand here so we can recognize you? Our nominees are Domenico Calabrese from Italy, and Rachel Carson from the UK. Commissioner, please tell us who has won this award.
I think they both won because they were both nominees, as I told yesterday evening. We have no losers here. But we only have one award, and I just read it because I told you yesterday evening that even I was not aware who was elected by our juries. But for this award, it's going to Domenico Calabrese.
Out of way of focus. Okay, thank you. And the next award in this category for companies and learners is for the European Alliance for Apprenticeships, the large companies. And the nominees are ESB Networks DAC from Ireland and EVN Macedonia, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. Commissioner, don't keep us in suspense. What is written in your envelope?
Again, no losers, but only one winner of the award, and that goes to ESB Networks DAC.
Congratulations. Thank you. And the next award, the European Alliance for Apprenticeships, and this one is recognizing small companies. And the nominees are Atelier du Pain from France and Stückbelz from Germany. Commissioner.
Congratulations to both of you. The winner of this award is l'Atelier du Pain.
This next award is for training at work, and our nominees are Human Partner, SP and Joanna Kamola from Poland, and Hot and Cold Therm and Istvan Čech from Hungary.
Congratulations also, and this award goes to Human Partners SP Zo and Joanna Kamola.
Congratulations. And our next award is for the International Skills Competition. And this is a winner that we've known in advance. It's Daniel Gerber, the Skills for Electrical Installation from Switzerland. Well done. The next award is also, we've known it in advance, it's the Junior Achievement Europe, and the winner is Marmatia Technological High School from Simona Ona in Romania. And now we're changing the category to the Vet Innovators. And our first award in this category is for the Innovative Vet Provider. And our nominees are ISQ, the Institute for Technology and Quality from Portugal, and Ixabec Vocational Training Center from Spain. Commissioner, what is in the envelope?
Well, just one, indeed. Congratulations to all of you. But in the envelope, I see that the award is going to Schaerbeek Vocational Training Center.
You need a trophy. Trophy. Trophy. Trophy. And we have an award for a special selection in the context of the European Year for Cultural Heritage, and that is the Compagnon du Devoir et du Tour de France. Please come. Here. Thank you. The next award is for the Teacher and Trainer, and our nominees are Joanna Zebrowska from Poland and Noemi Raskova from Slovakia. Two very deserving nominees that we heard about yesterday. Commissioner, please reveal the answer.
Yes, congratulations to the nominees, especially to the award winner, and that is Joanna Zebrowska.
The next award is for the Vet Researcher, and our nominees are Learning Layers from Estonia and Modeling Vocational Excellence, the MOVE project from Finland. Gentlemen.
Congratulations to both of the nominees. The award is going to Learning Layers.
Thank you. And now we're going to change category to the European Funding for Excellence. And this is the European Social Fund project. And the nominees are Closer to the Labour Market 2 from Poland and AVA, A Clear Route to a Profession from Finland.
Thank you very much. And the winner of this award is Closer to the Labour Market 2 from Poland.
The next award is for the Erasmus Plus project, and the nominees are Mobile Learning in VET Towards 2020 from Italy, and the European Business Baccalaureate Diploma for All from Finland.
Thank you to all of you. The award is going to Mobile Learning in VET Towards 2020.
And now we move to the final category of awards, and this is for the European agencies. And here we have the CEDEFOP VET Photo Award, and the nominees are This Is Me team from Italy and C-Force team from Hungary. Please come. I hope you had a chance to visit the exhibition outside where you could see some of their photos. Truly fantastic work. Congratulations. Commissioner.
Of course, it's all inspiring photos, but we only have one award, and it's going to the C-Force team.
Congratulations. Excellent. And now it is the European Training Foundation's 2018 Entrepreneurship Award, and the winner of that is the School of Chemical Technology for Subotica, Serbia. Congratulations. Thank you, Commissioner. Please take a seat again. Can we just take one more minute to recognize all of the nominees? Nominees and winners, please stand up in the hall and let's see you, and we will acknowledge you all. Thank you so much for all the effort that you put in. You make the week and the year very special. And next year, of course, we will be recognizing the achievements of other groups of people. But I'm sure you will all be ambassadors for the European Vocational Skills Week and encourage others. Now, to my great surprise, we've managed to catch up time. We're a little bit ahead of where we should be. And the next element on our agenda is a musical interlude. And I'm not sure if our band is ready yet. So let me take this opportunity, which is so rare in a conference like this, to have a conversation with you. If you were to describe your experience this week in one word, what would it be? We have a microphone that we'll share in the audience. What is the one word that expresses your experience and your emotions as you were here this week? All the amazing things that we've seen and heard from. Who has a word they'd like to share with me? Yes. Can I have a hostess with the microphone, please? Team over there. Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely inspiring.
Inspiring. Thank you. Who else would like to share a word? Yes. We'll get you a mic.
Passion.
Passion. Passion. Passion. Inspiring. Another word that anyone would like to share? Yes. We've got two more of this. This side of the room is full of responses. We'll come to you. Yes.
For me, it is interaction.
Interaction. Thank you. The mic, there's an...
effort team.
Yes, please. The future. Yes. Challenge. The future and challenge. What else would you like to say in one word? I'll be generous. 2 words. If one word is too hard to collapse all of your experience, we have a hand back there and the microphone will come to you. Yes, you go first.
Zeal and love.
Zeal and love. Thank you, yes. The microphone will come to you.
Commitment.
Commitment, yes. Over here.
Excellence, passion.
Excellence and passion, yes. I'm starting to see why the European Vocational Skills Week in just 3 years has steamrolled into such an extent that we now have 30 million people across Europe who've been touched with it some way or another via social media because there is such interest in it. If that was your experience, what's your takeaway from your time here? New contacts, new ideas, inspiration? Some thought-provoking facts. What are you taking away with you when you go back and you need to talk to colleagues and friends? And remember, we are hoping that you are ambassadors for the future. You are energized. What is your take-home message from this week? Yes. We'll get you a microphone.
Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, the energy, for sure.
Energy. Yes, the mic will go to...
Believing that we have hope in the future.
Believing that we have hope in the future. All positive messages. It's been quite quiet in this area of the room. What's your take-home message? Anyone over here? Sorry? Never give up. That's a very good message. Anyone over at the back? What do you take home after a week of inspiration, engagement, and all the meetings you've had? Anyone? Yes. Well,
New friendship.
New friendship. Thank you. Okay. So lots of really positive feedback that's come from our conversations, and energy, enthusiasm, passion, commitment, love, zeal. If I could bottle all of that and sell it, I would be a very rich person. This is what we have co-created together in our time. And this is the magic dust that VET and the VET community can bring when you go home. So I thank you very much for sharing all of this. And now, to perhaps give us the final key messages from the European Commission. You started this 5 years ago with the Alliance, 3 years ago with the European Vocational Skills Week. And if you could remember back to your very first meeting where somebody said, let's have a skills week, you probably could never have imagined in your wildest imagination that it would be this, that the result would be such passion and energy. And now that we've got here, let me invite you to set out some ideas for the way forward and how we use this momentum that started from a small meeting a long time ago and has now resulted in this movement of people across Europe changing their lives. Commissioner Thyssen, please close the week for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would say proud and don't be shy to be ambitious. That's also what we have to take in mind. Thank you all for being here, and it's really my pleasure to close this third Vocational Education and Skills Week. I hope you have enjoyed today and the whole week here in Vienna or wherever you are. When we launched this Skills Week 3 years ago, it was to send a clear message that VET is a first choice, that VET is a first choice and not a second option. A message to our member states that VET is essential for our people to get jobs and for our companies to compete, certainly in a time of innovation and change. A message to our partners in business, education and society that we need to work together to be aware of the skills needs, to promote VET and to boost skills wherever possible. And a message above all to all students, boys and girls and their parents facing career decisions that VET is as good a career choice as a university education. A choice that guarantees a challenging, exciting and rewarding job or leads to entrepreneurship. And a choice that benefits the whole of Europe by harnessing talents, skills and innovation. A choice that can make people proud, as this year's Skills Week again has shown. Of course, VET Week is not only about sending a message, it's also about results. And therefore, from the European Commission, we backed up our key message, that VET is a first choice, with action from day one. We backed it up by launching Erasmus Pro, because we want VET students to have the same life-changing experience as their university colleagues, a learning experience in a different member state. And I can tell that VET students want this too. The results of the first call for Erasmus Pro are so far excellent. And in the next 3 years, our budget will make it possible for up to 50,000 apprentices to participate in the internships abroad. We proposed a budget, and thanks to the European Parliament and Mr. Arthuis especially, we obtained this budget. And I'm very much looking forward to hearing about the experiences of all of you. But of course, to help VET become a first choice, we cannot do it alone. We need to act in partnership. Partnerships such as the European Alliance for Apprenticeships. This initiative has boosted the supply, the quality and image of apprenticeships, and it has improved the learning experience of apprentices abroad. Since 2013, more than 250 companies, social partners, chambers, vocational education and training schools, and other stakeholders have joined the Alliance, and they together pledged over 900,000 apprenticeships. I hope very much that we can keep up this momentum, because modern dual learning and apprenticeship schemes are key to preparing our young Europeans for the future world of work. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the eminent member of the European Parliament and the President of the Budget Committee, Mr. Jean Arthuis, who is here with us. You were listening to him. I want to thank you, Jean, for your leadership in promoting the mobility of apprenticeships at both European and national level. And ladies and gentlemen, from Lublin to Limerick, from Porto to Pula, and from Vienna to Varna, we want every European apprentice to benefit from the same quality learning experience. And the member states agree. Last March, our member states backed the proposal for the European framework for quality and effective apprenticeships. This framework, those framework conditions make sure that apprenticeships provide real benefits for all parties involved. And of course, you know that the text was originally prepared by the social partners whose cooperation we need and we appreciate a lot. It's now up to the member states to make sure that there are framework conditions that enable apprenticeships and dual learning, and the European Commission will support them in any way possible. Yesterday, at the 5th anniversary of our European Alliance for Apprenticeships, we officially launched our new apprenticeship support service. For me, the main element of the support service is to offer you a place where you can turn to get advice and hands-on support for making apprenticeships a reality. There will be benchmarking and peer learning to help exchange of good practice between those who have advanced policy systems and those who are just starting on their way. And we will also set up a knowledge hub to bring together all relevant knowledge and information in one place. We now need to look to the future and support structural VET reforms in the member states. First of all, by putting our money where our mouth is. The Commission has always strongly supported the modernization of VET systems through the European Social Fund. And for the 2014-2020 period, we are spending 27 billion euros on education and vocational training in Europe. And our next 7-year European budget, within that budget, we want to continue to support member states in modernizing education and skill systems, to help them address skills gaps and shortages, and to encourage innovation and employment. We will use part of the 101 billion euro in the European Social Fund Plus to support vocational education and training of young people and the up- and reskilling of adults. We also want to double the funding of the Erasmus Plus program to 30 billion euro, and this will enable us to triple the number of mobile learners. And I thank again Jean Arthuis for his support in the Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest strategic priority we have now is to meet the challenges of the two ongoing transformations, that of digitalization and robotization of the world of work, and the transition to a low-carbon economy. And here I very much agree with Mr. Majumdar. Yes, of course, sorry for that. My Indian is not so good. I need more skills, I think. But I want to thank you with your message from the UNESCO. I could not agree more as what you were saying. But we all know that we are living tectonic changes that will make tidal waves in the world of work. Some jobs will disappear, but many new jobs will be created, and the content of most of the jobs that will continue will change. So we will need skilled people to deal with this change. And for that, we need an adaptive VET system. And to get our people and also our social rulebook, our codex, ready for the new world of work, just 1 year ago, we launched our European Pillar of Social Rights. And it's no coincidence that the first principle of our European Pillar of Social Rights is education, training, and lifelong learning. All the member states, the European Parliament, and the Commission are now committed to putting the pillar into practice. And that is good news. It's good news because businesses need highly skilled staff to compete in the digital and low-carbon age. Educators need to teach skills for jobs that don't exist yet, and they need to find ways of applying digital skills in the classroom. Students don't just need to learn new skills at school, they will face a lifetime of non-stop learning. We should not passively live through these changes. We should instead manage them. To grasp the fruits of the digital and low-carbon revolution, we need ourselves to learn to change and to change how we learn. We need an ambitious European reform agenda to modernize VET and move it forward. My message to the VET students here today is never stop learning. And my message to everyone else, let's do what we can to make that possible. And if you ask me, what should our mission be? I'd say it is to promote a lifetime of quality learning for everyone. That means making continuing education and training a priority. Not just for VET students, we need to help everyone to develop their full potential. That means getting many more adults into training, upskilling and reskilling will become more and more important. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our third Skills Week. For me, it has, as always, been inspiring. And after 3 VET Skills Weeks, we want to know if our efforts have been successful and if attitudes toward VET are changing. And that's why we will soon be launching a review of the 3 vet weeks we organized to date, to learn from our experience and improve vet week in the future. And that's important because we can already set a date for the next European Skills Week. I am pleased to announce that the future Finnish presidency in the second half of next year has kindly issued an invitation to us for next year. So please take out your diaries. The European Vocational Skills Week 2019 will take place from the 14th till the 18th of October in 2019 in Helsinki. I would say, until then, let's keep the vet flag flying, and good luck to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So there we have it, a date for next year in your diaries. And it wouldn't be a Vet Week closing without a performance by vet learners themselves. So I invite you to give a warm welcome to the band Men in Black. They are vet learners from Upper Austria. Please, come. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Men in Black Band, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Okay. Lovely, thank you. And as our fantastic band that got us in the mood leave the stage, it just remains for me to say thank you to a bunch of people who made it all possible. So, can we just say a warm thank you to the students who performed for you over the last few days, the organizing team who worked until very late, the technical team, our host building, the catering team, and you yourselves. Let's recognize everyone's contribution in making this a fantastically successful week. We've now closed the formal part of the agenda. We are offering you some refreshments outside before you make your way home. But we'd also like some groups to come and take photos with the Commissioner, because you will take photo souvenirs home with you. So let me just do them in groups. The ambassadors, you'll be the first group, and not only will you have a photograph with the Commissioner, we have a little chocolate thank you for all of your efforts that is waiting for you. So please don't leave until we've given you a chocolate. Nominees and award winners, we will take a group photo of you all together with the Commissioner after the ambassadors. So be a little bit patient, but we will have a photo for you. For everyone else, thank you. See you next year in Helsinki. Safe trip home. Ambassadors, come and join me, please. Come.